first, right?
To be determined. Hello, welcome to the Students of S.H.I.E.L.D. presented No Man's Podcast. My name is Vincent.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Michael.
Perfectly timed.
They are both named Michael of Variation. And this is our show where we talk about Batman, No Man's Land, and the lead-in and everything. And we are now into Road to No Man's Land Volume 2, by the way that DC divides it. And this first episode in this era is 3 S.H.I.E.L.D. issues. And this is the point in the podcast where certain things will be slightly out of order just to group things together for convenience. So if there are 3 Catwoman issues and they deal with somewhat the same plot, even though they're placed between other issues, and we're going to group them together. And we'll just, as we roll along, we'll essentially be making our own editor references and saying like, oh, this hasn't happened yet, or oh, this has happened now, and that was referred to back then. It shouldn't be too drastic. I mean, the way these comics basically worked is, every single book involved comes out every month. So you really had arcs running alongside each other and interweaving no matter what. It's just that becomes the challenge when they decide how to reprint it in what order. And so we're monkeying with it just a little bit. And I think in the long run, grouping together like chunks of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's mostly S.H.I.E.L.D. and Catwoman that this will apply to. Grouping together chunks of issues like that, I think in the long run will make for a more organized method to the madness.
I'd say at least for this first time doing this, it actually worked out pretty well, as the S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff is kind of running along right when Bruce is in Washington.
Yeah, until you read the Batman stuff, you're like, oh wow, Batman just went all the way from Gotham to DC to tell S.H.I.E.L.D. he fucked up. And it's like, no, he was
No,
there.
you're right there.
All right, so we are officially reading S.H.I.E.L.D. 47 to 49, and these issues now have the Agents of the Bat subtitle, which I feel is 3 issues premature.
Yeah, it is.
Because his status quo isn't really changed yet.
It's beginning to change.
Yeah.
But you handing the baton over to me officially now here?
Yes.
So first issue is S.H.I.E.L.D. Agent of the Bat number 47 with our team of Dennis O'Neil and Roger Robinson. We open up with Batman and S.H.I.E.L.D. on a splash page, like back to back, getting ready to take out a bunch of goons, where S.H.I.E.L.D. is then tasked by Batman to protect a senator in Washington D.C. that's advocating for Gotham to still get support from the government. So, and just like that, we're immediately off to Washington D.C. as S.H.I.E.L.D.'s mission is to attend this kind of rally. I want to say it's not like a rock the vote that rally. It's just like the senator's going to also be at this concert that rock star Nicholas Scratch is going to be at, and it's Nicholas Scratch is the most 90s up kind of bad guy ever. Basically, I want to say I want to draw comparisons to Marilyn Manson with him, but I don't think that's exactly correct. But like he kind of also looks like Kratos from God of War.
Yeah.
But the take here is that he's very like ultra hardcore, like heavy metal, but it's not grunge, but like very much like death metal kind of theatrics on stage. He's got these devil henchmen that follow him around. So in Scratch's plan while the senator's meeting with him is he's going to kill the senator. So S.H.I.E.L.D. has to stop it. We get once the rock concerts, and the plan is while the senator's watching from up on the catwalk, his henchmen are going to murder him up there. And as the concert starts, Nicholas Scratch thanks everyone for coming except for Jabba the Hutt, which I'm guessing is a shot at the special editions that have come out around this point for Star Wars. There's also a moment when Azrael is talking to Oracle, where he's not familiar with Nicholas Scratch's music, and he's also not familiar with Hanson. Hanson being they were three brothers, weren't they? Yeah, they were a three-brother boy band that had like a one-hit wonder. I think they had Oo Bop or Oo Wop was their big song. But so once again, another real world reference in the DC books, which is always weird. But my question for Vince: are we going to keep getting Hanson references like we did with Hootie and the Blowfish in Clone Saga?
I imagine not.
Which is disappointing.
I mean,
because I'd love another one hit wonders like band to continue throughout another show.
I don't know. I feel like Hootie was a little bit more than a one hit wonder.
Oh yeah, they definitely had more than one hit. They had like 5, and then like Darius Rucker became a huge country star. But the attempt on the catwalk is thwarted by Azrael, but Nicholas Scratch gets the senator back in his dressing room because Scratch just tells him that no, those guys weren't with me. They were killing you, but I'll protect you, and then he just chokes him out. So that's how issue 47 ends. So Azrael has already completely failed in his mission by Batman.
Yeah, the one thing I really want to point out is that Azrael's like, how am I going to get into this concert? And he sees someone who's part of the band get in, so he puts on his costume and is like, I'm part of the band, and they just let him in.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, the part cracked me up.
How do you guys feel about Roger Robinson's art? We kind of talked about it briefly the last time we saw Azrael, which was like a book ago.
Well,
I like it.
I love it. In fact, I really like it. We've had some good art on this podcast, but I feel like honestly, this might be. I've already said I like Jim Balance on Catwoman, but I really like the art in here. I think a lot of the art in the other books is kind of samey or non-impressive or just like standard what you'd expect.
And then like Aparo at this point is kind of past his prime, so you're not getting A grade Aparo.
Yeah, and even if you were getting A grade, he's an artist of the 70s. He's still amazing, but you have a guy from the early 70s drawing your book in 1999. But I love Robinson, and I'm going to be, and this is almost bittersweet because I really don't like the costume, which is right around the corner, or at least I don't think so. I haven't read full issues of it, but I really don't like it. And this costume, as mostly, I'm sure there are slight changes, but as mostly designed, I guess, by Joe Quesada, is just this insane costume and like these crazy gauntlets. I love them.
Yeah, this is still pretty much the Quesada design. The next design I think will be the blue costume. I think has a red bat on the front of it. And then after that, he goes back to the standard Azrael colors of like red and gold, but like keeps like the domino mask in his hair on the outside. So this is the only time he's ever had like the hood mask, which is upsetting because I like the hood mask. It's a really cool design. But that's issue 47. There's not much to say more on it. Other than I really like the coloring in this book too. Big fan of like the very vibrant reds.
All right, Michael, you have any thoughts on Robinson, and then you can move us over to 48 as well.
Okay, yeah, I like his art a lot too. Yeah, I thought it was really fitting to this issue, and like, the faces are pretty expressive, and I thought he had really kinetic, entertaining action sequences. And as you said, the reds were bright and stood out. So yeah, our next issue, it's Azrael, Agent of the Bat, number 48. And this one, the front cover advertises this issue as Azrael Rocks. And we see Azrael fighting the devil goons behind Nicholas Scratch, who's wailing into the microphone. We got this barbed wire going on around it. So yeah, the cover's almost presenting it like Azrael's a guest star in this rock performance or something, but which, I mean, in a way. But
I like how they have Batman up in the corner watching, to still get like the Batman rub more on this book.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that. Oh my gosh, yeah. In the previous issue, it was like Azrael, Agent of the Bad, guest starring Batman. And did we mention that this book has something to do with Batman? Please buy this book. So anyway, the issue opens. Senator Hallivan is dead. Nick Scratch has just strangled him, and he dropped a rose onto the corpse. Guess that's a signature of him or something. I don't know. Didn't the Kingpin do that in the Daredevil movie? Like,
yep, he did.
What's it?
He did.
Yep. Well, now we know where he got it. Yeah, this was. I thought it was a somewhat striking image to start out with. How it's almost slightly graphic, like he's got his tongue sticking out a bit. He's just been strangled, but like a little eerie, I suppose. So anyway, let's see. Yeah, so his devil goons, they tell him that somebody fought them and beat them, and he's like, "Do you have a name?" And no, it didn't tell us. At this point, I still think the devil goons, their faces look pretty clearly like static masks, but later on it'll turn out that they're not masks. That's just how their faces look, and they're genetically altered or something. But I'm pretty sure they don't change their expressions or anything, unless it's like two different sets of goons or something. I don't know. Maybe if I pay close enough attention, they'll. No, they still look like masks. Anyway, then Azrael comes in, and it's like, oh, whoops, he's dead. And Nick Scratch gets the reference of his name, that he's a reference to an Angel of Vengeance, and they have a little banter about that. And then Scratch kind of does the Bond villain thing where he tells him his whole plan, but he's like, and why am I telling you this? Because I'm rich and successful and everyone loves me, and you're just some weirdo in a costume. Nobody will believe you. And then he starts calling for help and fights Azrael and pins the murder of the senator on him. So yeah, Azrael's royally screwed up by this point. And yeah, he ends up fighting him on stage also. And is this the one where, yeah, I think he tells his own men to fight him, and they're like, "What? You want us to hit you?" And he's like, "Oh, think of it as free therapy. Get your issues out." And he's like, then when they're actually fighting him, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna fight you back." He just beats the heck out of them. So yep, not a very good boss. As most supervillains aren't. So yeah, Azrael escapes, then he gets onto the news and tells the story exactly as it looks, since he kind of walked right into that one. Like, the public doesn't even realize that these devil guys have anything to do with him. He's just presenting them as being with Azrael, which Azrael wears a red mask and a crazy costume too. That it's pretty easy. People would buy that. And let's see, anything else? Oh yeah, Batman comes to Azrael's apartment to chew him out for messing up the mission. And he says, like, "Give you a simple assignment. Rookie cops do this." And really giving him the business. And let's see. He tells him to burn the costume.
Tells him to burn his costume.
And yeah, like, I guess, like, oh, the public thinks Azrael's a killer. I want to. Well, I mean, I guess he kind of is, but that was like brainwashing stuff. But he's like, "Oh, that you're a fugitive now. Not gonna bother clearing your name or anything. Just burn the costume. You're done. No more Azrael." Then he has a little moment where he's being all Hamlet-like, holding the helmet in his hand, and he's philosophizing about how Azrael's a different part of his identity. And he's like, "Yeah, maybe I am done with Azrael, but not until I accomplish one final task." And that's the end of the issue, which that's teasing not that he's done with Azrael, but he's going to end up getting a new costume and working directly with Batman. So, yep, that's pretty much all that happens in that issue. I won't drag that out too much, but
Okay, so then our final issue of the day, part 3 of sorts. Azrael, Agent of the Bat, number 49. Azrael will never be the same after this issue. Scratch is paying financiers $10,000 just to talk to him, and he's just convincing more of them to pull out of Gotham, give up on Gotham. And Azrael gets some details from Oracle, even though she's not supposed to be talking to him, about a meeting at the Chief Justice's house. And they're discussing the specifics of the legal shutdown of Gotham and their response to Bruce Wayne's like legal challenge, which we haven't. Some of that has happened, which we haven't gotten to yet. That'll be on the next podcast episode, and it'll all connect eventually. And then Scratch goes on live TV and basically just shits on Gotham, calls it a modern day Gomorrah, and his tagline is "Gotham City must die." And Azrael ends up, first of all, getting into the Chief Justice's house in this insane way by like using a Volkswagen Beetle to like catapult himself over the wall. And he saved the justice from some explosives that were planted. And the Supreme Court ends up turning down Bruce's legal action anyway, even though Azrael changed the Chief Justice's mind. But like, I don't really get this. So it ended up 5-4. If the Chief Justice died, it would be tied 4-4, which I believe the way the Supreme Court works is that just basically means nothing changes. And so when the status quo was fuck Gotham, Gotham would still be fucked, and it still ended up being fucked. And if he survived and voted, then it would just be 6-3, I guess. So I don't really know like what Azrael was hoping to accomplish, but whatever. I don't think it would have made any difference. But he's Batman's friend again, even though he's still kind of fucked up. Batman's like, sure, I'll tolerate you. And somehow that will, which I feel like isn't actually a change of his status quo for the past 49 issues, but somehow that will lead to a drastic change and we'll get a new costume and a slightly different status quo.
Yeah. I think the biggest problem with Nicholas Scratch is I don't think there's ever an outlaid like actual good reason for why he wants to get rid of Gotham other than just he doesn't like it.
Yeah, it's not clear. I mean, he gives a lot of reasons why he thinks Gotham sucks, but it's like, why do you feel so strongly about this?
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, he's already, just like Bruce, he's already rich as fuck, so it's not like he doesn't seem to have any like financial motivation. He's clearly not even like, and he talks about Gomorrah and how Gotham's all screwed up and everything like that. It's not, obviously it's not like he's a super moral person, even in his public persona, because he's like this like edgy rock star. He's like really over the top, but
It's like Gene Simmons always wore the makeup and like, but just like having a suit. He goes on television in a suit.
Yeah, but I think he's kind of funny in like a comic book.
I think it's funny. Like I have a very hard time believing that this guy somehow gets like major pull being on political talk shows with the way he looks.
Well, remember, so they set up his like nonsensical origin where he was like this schlubby astronomer, and he basically it's pretty similar to on the surface to the Flash. He just got like hit by some random energy, and then his like body, his like physiology drastically changed. And it's not really clear. I mean, we'll get to some of his devil henchman shit in a bit. But besides that, it's not really clear if he has like any powers or anything like that. His body just drastically changed. And then he was able to use his intelligence and looks and popularity to drastically overhaul his life. But he's really wacky. And part of it, what I was going to say is part of it, he hosted a late night talk show, which was crushing the ratings.
Yeah, for one season, and then got bored and walked away.
He just gave up. So weird. All right, so that is, again, I believe it's called Scratching the Surface. Check the title of the video you're watching. Scratching the Surface, yes. And we are going to be right back. And you can click on the next video immediately or hop over to the next live stream to watch us talk about Mr. Wayne Goes to Washington.
Yeah, one of the very big stories of the road to no man's land.
Yep. So go watch that now. Bye-bye.